Hello everybody, welcome to another program. I'm Mark Joseph. Today we're in Buena Park, California, outside of a museum, but a different kind of museum than you may be used to. This is the Movieland Wax Museum, where they have a collection of all sorts of wax figures of American movie stars and cultural figures. And our guest today is Mr. Rodney Fong, the director and vice president of the museum. We'll talk to him about what it takes to run a museum, how they make those figures, and what his future plans are. So join us as we meet Rodney Fong.
Rodney Fong, Vice President and Director of Marketing of two family-owned wax museums in California, says they are like time capsules, immortalizing celebrities and world leaders. On the basis of intricate measurements, artists make clay sculptures which are cast in plaster. This creates a mold into which wax is poured. About 75% of stars attend the unveiling of their figures, including Michael Jackson, who requested a second figure for his own home, and Toshiro Mifune, who dressed the figure himself. Fong explains that figures no longer in demand are recycled as background people in other exhibitions, and he says he particularly enjoys the museum's theater-like atmosphere.
Rodney Fong, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Well, here we are at the Movieland Wax Museum. What exactly do you do here?
I am in charge of all the marketing and advertising for the museum here and oversee the operations within the museum.
Tell us about this set we're on right now.
We're in the set of Ben-Hur with Charleston Heston. This was one of the first sets in Movieland that was built in 1963. And as you can see, it's a full-scale set. There must be about 15 people in here with us and 4 horses.
Now, did he come himself to see his wax figure?
I believe he wasn't here for the unveiling, but he has been through the museum and has given his approval.
Now, what about these horses? Tell us about these.
These are original horses that were built for the set and brought in. As you can see, they all resemble each other. It could be brothers or sisters.
Tell us what your day-to-day activities are. What exactly do you do with this museum and the other one that you have?
Most of the day is spent with working on getting tour groups and some individuals and bus groups into the museum and selling prepackaged type tours. And I work personally with the operations and accounting departments and make sure that with the maintenance department that I've built that this show is at show quality 100% of the time.
Now you have 2 locations?
Right. Here in Buena Park and in San Francisco at Fisherman's Wharf.
How many wax figures do you have here in total?
There are about 300 wax figures here. And San Francisco has about 275 wax figures.
And are they mainly actors or politicians, or what do you have?
Well, Movieland really specializes in movies. We have all the classics from Humphrey Bogart to Marilyn Monroe. And there's a little bit of television, but mostly movies. And the museum in San Francisco is sort of a scrapbook of world history. It has political leaders, religious section, a King Tut section. So it's really, the wax museums sort of are time capsules of history.
And how do you decide who to make a wax figure of? Is there a committee that meets, or a popular vote, or what happens?
We take suggestions from our guests. We have meetings monthly within our crew here to decide who's popular and who we think has longevity as far as immortalizing themselves in wax.
So, can you take us through the process of, let's say once you decide on somebody, for instance, let's say Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
You decide you want to do that. What happens next?
Okay, we try to set up a meeting with the star. The initial meeting is actually for photographing and taking measurements, and they take very intricate measurements from, say, the width of your head to the depth of your nose and how far your ears are apart and what color eyes you have. And from those photos and measurements, they'll go back into the wax room and start to sculpt in the form of clay. Once that clay is done, then they cast that into plaster, which creates a negative form of that, and then they pour wax into the plaster mold. So it's kind of a three-step positive, negative, positive process. Once the wax is completed, then eyes can be inserted, teeth can be inserted, and each hair individually has to be implanted. So it's a painstaking task, but it's well worth it when in the final product.
How long does it take from the time you decide to start to its completion?
About 3 months. 3 months lead time.
And then after it's completed, do you have the star come out and unveil it?
We'd like to. And probably 75% of the time, stars are very busy, but 75% of the time they do find time to come out and visit us. We had Michael Jackson here, Gloria Estefan, Dick Clark, who hosts American Bandstand, out here.
I heard that Michael Jackson came in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's correct. He chose to come at about midnight with his crew, and wanted to personally take a look at the figure. In fact, we made a second copy of the figure for himself personally, for his own home or home use.
So he has a wax figure that you made in his home.
Correct.
What did he think about it?
Oh, he loved it. In fact, the costume, the outfit that we have on the figure, he donated. So he brought that in.
So that's his real costume?
That's right. Yeah.
Any others that you can think of that came by?
Toshiro Mifune came by. That's his actual wardrobe that he brought. And it was a fairly large ceremony here, and he was able to come in and dress the figure himself properly.
Now, why did you decide to make a figure of Toshiro Mifune, the Japanese actor?
Well, he's probably one of the most popular Japanese actors, and his popularity in America is really quite surprising.
Really? Now, do you have people commenting on that one coming through?
Yeah, I think most people are familiar with him. First of all, his wardrobe is gorgeous, and people appreciate that.
Do you do you end particular exhibits, or for instance, if a movie came out in 1975 or something and people have forgotten about it, do you quietly get rid of certain figures?
Right. We are actually constantly changing exhibits, and we find ways to reuse figures and kind of distort them and change them into something else for background people or guests in the scene.
Could you give us an idea of some maybe that are not around anymore?
Well, in fact, right around the corner is Johnny Carson in the Spartacus set, and he has been turned into a spectator.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Rodney, what are some of your favorite exhibits here, or maybe some of the favorites of your customers?
Well, the most popular exhibits are probably Marilyn Monroe, Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain. One of our most recent and most popular figures is Tom Selleck. Superman is a fantastic set. And Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid. These are all classic movies that people just love to see over and over.